Hey guys, back again with another review, this time of another Jean-Claude Van Damme film, Bloodsport from 1988, which was directed by New Arnold and starred Jean-Claude Van Damme, Donald Gibb, Leah Ayres, Bolo Young, Forrest Whitaker, to say many others. So basically the film starts off with Frank Dux, who is a captain in the US Army. He goes AWOL and he goes to visit his sensei, Senzo Tanaka. And you get a bit of backstory because Senzo's ill, but Frank broke into his place through a window with two friends, and Senzo and Shingo, his son, caught Frank. So Frank, who wasn't really stealing but was just there, he ends up being taught martial science by Senzo, and he works with Shingo. Well, Shingo ends up dead, and Frank basically says to Senzo, "Let me be the son. Let me, because we were like brothers, and you're like a father to me. I want to live on, the clan's name. I want to live on your name, Senzo. You're the sensei. You're my Shidoshi." So he goes back to present time, and he goes to Hong Kong, where he enters the Kumite, where different martial artists from all over the world fight to become the Kumite champion. And it's an underground event which is illegal. So they're all at this hotel, and there's this reporter there called Janice Kent, who's played by Leah Ayres, who was in The Burning. And she gets friendly with Frank, and they end up sleeping together, and the relationship builds. He also makes a friendship with Ray Jackson, who's also a fighter in the Kumite. Then you find out that there's also Helmer and Rawlins, played by Norman Burton and Forrest Whitaker, who are sent to get Frank and bring him back. So they're also looking for him, and they're also finding him, and he's getting away, he's getting help. But is he going to get caught before he finishes the Kumite? So there's some great fighting in this movie, some great action, great music, and there's a great amount of comedy in the movie, which makes it really good as well, especially from the character of Ray Jackson, played by Donald Gibb. He brings some good energy to the film and brings a lot of comedy to it. As Bolo Young's character of Chong Li, who is the main villain in the film and is the champion of the Kumite, he has this dark and disturbing look about him. Now, Bolo Young, if you know him from other films like Double Impact, Enter the Dragon, as well as many others, he's a Chinese martial artist, also a bodybuilder, and he's big. He's like, whoa, and he's intimidating. And he does things like look at Frank Dux and punches a bloke in the face, kills people, and you just watch him decimate these opponents one after the other. And you're like, will Frank or Ray end up against him? Or will Frank and Ray end up against each other? So there's a lot of great possibilities to the film. And the soundtrack for most of the movie is really, really spot on. I highly enjoyed it. I thought it really made the movie special. There's some soundtracks you listen to and you're like, oh, this is awful. Not in this. So when we get to the end, we find out that this is actually based on a true story of a guy named Frank W Dux. So I looked it up, and a lot of what happens in the film doesn't actually happen in the real story. There are not CID officers in like Helmer and Rawlins chasing after Frank in the reality. There's also a story that the Kumite never existed and that it was made up. Now, I'm not going to state either way because I don't know, I wasn't there. But that's debatable. But the movie itself is a great story, highly entertaining, a lot of fun, and Jean-Claude Van Damme's best, in my opinion. So I'd highly recommend it. Some of my favourite scenes in it involve a coin being in an Arab fighter's hand, and if Frank Dux doesn't get it, then Janice has to sleep with the Arabian guy, and he won't stop him. And this was a great scene because I enjoyed it. I remember as a kid trying to get that coin out of my mum's hand, and I never could do it. But it was a great scene in the movie. Another great scene is when Frank and Ray first meet and they're playing the karate game, and he keeps beating Ray. You can tell it bugs him, but they end up being really good friends in the long run, and it's a really great story. The relationships between the characters is sweet, it's great, and there's something simple but loving about Ray Jackson, even though he's this fighter. He's just a really, really nice bloke. So overall, I highly recommend this film. I'd give it a 5 out of 5 because it's one of my favourite Jean-Claude Van Damme films, and I recommend it to anyone who likes martial arts films, especially tournament ones. Now, there were 3 sequels. Bloodsport 2, the Kumite, Bloodsport 3, and Bloodsport 4, The Dark Clementine. They didn't star Jean-Claude Van Damme, but they're nowhere as good either. But if you want to check them out, they're available, but I think a couple of them are actually out of print now. So, you know, depends on how much you want to see them. They're alright movies, but they're nothing special if you ask me. They're nothing like Bloodsport. So, as always guys, thanks for watching. Have a lovely day and take care. And subscribe.